What's up, guys? I'm excited to be back here with another new video. This is 2 in a week. This video is going to add a new element to the channel. I got in contact with my buddy Will from Virginia. He's a big fly fisherman, and asked him if he would tie a fly, and so I could load that video to my channel. So I'm going to be taking a trip down there to see Will here in April, and we're going to do some fly fishing, hopefully catch some big monster trout. We'll get that on video, but for now, hope you enjoy his video. If you do, let me know, and we'll get some more videos more videos like that up on the channel. All right, here he is.
Hey guys, Will here. Greg wanted me to teach a kind of an intro to fly tying kind of thing. So I thought we would do some woolly buggers today. The reason I chose a woolly bugger is even for non-fly fishermen, people tend to know what that fly is. It's one of the most popular flies. It's also one of the most successful flies ever made. I got a couple here that I already tied. So this one's purple. We'll kind of go into colors too. This guy's purple. I've been kind of going crazy with purple ones. There's a pond nearby that has pickerel, and they love purple woolies for whatever reason. So that's what I've been kind of tying the past couple days. Today we're going to do more of a traditional pattern. We're going to do black and olive. So we're going to have something that looks like this. So we want them to be nice, big, and bushy. Kind of excited. Greg's coming down to fish with me, finally. Gonna try some fly fishing later on. But today, we're going to start with materials first, I think. So, today we're going to do size 8 hooks. I don't even know where mine are, but I have one already here. There's a couple ways to start a woolly bugger. Today, we're just going to use a bead. There are other ways you can do this, but if you guys can see the bead on there, we're just going to use a black bead instead of doing like a wire wrap. And I wish I had an example of that. These are ones that I didn't make the wire wrap enough, but you can do that to do weight instead of a bead, or you can do both. It really doesn't matter. The woolly bugger is one of those kind of cool flies you can do however you want to. So, size 8 hook, bead on there for weight. And of course we need our bobbin. First thing we're going to do is we're going to lock in our thread. Do a couple wraps. Handy dandy scissors. Whenever I start a body of a fly, whenever I do thread, I always wrap away from me. That's like one of the big rules of fly tying. It's wrapping away. So what I want to do is I'm just going to wrap away from me until I get to right where that hook point is. That's going to be kind of my stopping point. And this becomes what I call a tie-in point. That's where we want to tie all our materials in. Now, when you tie a fly, you want to kind of hide all evidence of different parts of them being tied in. So we kind of tie them backwards after the tail, but first we'll do the tail. We'll get into that. Now, to make our tail big and bushy, like I have on my demo fly here that I tied last night, we're going to use a material called Marabou. And Marabou is just this really wavy, crazy feather going on here. It's either made of stork or chicken feather. I'm pretty sure it's stork. But it gives us that nice movement in the tail that we really need. So what I want to do is I kind of want to measure it on the length of the shank of the hook here. That's the straight part of the hook. And I'm going to kind of guesstimate how much I want to use. So I'm going to use about that much. So what I'm going to do is right where my thread stops, I'm going to put my marabou tail, I'm going to pinch with my other hand. And I'm going to do a couple of quick wraps. Maybe do a little pull down there to kind of lock that tail in place. You guys see that? Now, this is where it kind of differs. You can watch like 10 different videos on YouTube and it'll be tied 10 different ways. So today what I'm going to do is just to give our tail more structural integrity if a fish hits it, we're going to make it part of the body. So what we're going to do is we are going to just go ahead, kind of keep our marabou straight and wrap up, right along that hook shank there. We just want to kind of wrap away. Wrap away right to where we started our thread. We don't want to crowd the head of the fly because we need to tie in that later. So now that I'm up here, I'm going to tell you guys the second rule of fly tying. That's always, if you're going to cut material off, pull it up at 90 degrees and then cut it. Otherwise, you might cut your thread. You gotta start all over. So we're gonna go ahead and cut this. We're gonna give it a couple of security wraps there. So if it's fuzzy, that's okay. In fact, that's better. A bushier woolly bugger is better. We want it to look tasty to those fish. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap all the way back. All the way back. Right to where we tied our tail in, and not a centimeter more. Right there. Again, that's our tie-in point. That's where we want to stay. If you want to cut off a little bit of this fuzz, you can. You really don't need to worry about it too much because one of our later wraps is going to cover it up anyway, kind of hiding our tracks like I mentioned before. So now it looks pretty cool, right? We got a nice tail on there. The body's looking pretty good. But now what we're going to do is we're going to start tying in backwards like I talked about. So this next feather we're using is called hackle. And this comes from chickens. That I know. And it's kind of a bushier feather, right? So what it's going to do is it's going to give us that kind of a crazy buggy wrap here. You guys see that? All this stuff here? That's what that gives us. It's not as soft like Marabou is. So we're going to give that nice bristly, buggy, leggy look to it. So what I want to do is pick a good feather. I already pre-picked my stuff to make the video go a little bit faster. But I've got my hackle feather, and I'm going to hold it like that. With my fingers, I'm gently going to push and pull down. And what that's doing is separating those fibers. You guys see that? Trying my best here. Sorry, it's my first video again. We're just going to pull on those fibers, kind of separate them. If it's a little wonky, that's okay. But what I'm going to do now is just have the front of my feather there. Nice and pointed still. If you want to trim it off a little bit, you can. That's actually a good point, so I'm going to keep that. And I'm going to lay that right on top of my fly. Right up top here. I'm going to switch my hands. And I'm going to lock, well, if it wants to work with me, I'm going to lock that feather in like I did last time. And again, it's fighting me because I'm doing a video, of course. But I'm going to lock that in, and we're going to go forward. We're going to go forward until we get into that tie-in spot up front where we started before, right? Kind of a repetitive thing. But uniformity makes a pretty fly, so we're going to stick with that. Now we're just going to go all the way back again, right to where we tied in these two different feathers. Tie-in point. You guys catching the drift here? So, now that we have those, we have our two major parts. Now we just need our third major part. And this stuff is called chenille. It's going to give us our body. And here's a close-up of it. It kind of is like pipe cleaners, but without wire inside, it's thread. And to get a good area to tie into, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pinch some of this fuzz off. You guys see that? And this isn't white thread on the inside, of course, but you guys can see I kind of left some thread there so I can tie on. You might want to wet it a little bit. But now what we'll do is same exact spot where we were. We tied in our marabou and our hackle. We're going to tie this in as well. And we're going to go all the way to the front. Now the only difference this time is I'm going to keep my thread up here because I need it up there. Now remember we talked about tying backwards, right? This is where it gets cool. This is where our fly really starts to take shape. At first it was like a hook and some feathers, and it was kind of a mix of things. Now is where it really starts to come together. So we already have the tail. The tail really looked great from the beginning. Now what we're going to do, and I'm going to remind myself to not use the rotary feature because not everybody has one. I'm going to wrap this by hand. And following that first rule we talked about, a fly tying, going to wrap away from me, right? And we're going to have nice, tight, touching wraps. And what that's going to do for me, and we're going to try to do this slow, is give us that nice uniform body. Just like so. And when I get to the top here, right behind the head, I'm going to hold this up at 90 degrees, but I'm not going to cut it yet. I'm going to do what I call a lazy wrap. I'm going to do 2 over the back of this material to lock it in place. I'm going to switch my hands and I'll do 2 more just to make sure I know it's locked in. Now what I'll do is the 90-degree rule, and I'm going to snip off my excess. I'm going to just toss that. And I'll do 2 or 3 more security wraps. So that's locked in place. Now you guys can see, maybe, if I can zoom this in a little bit, we have our tail and our body, right? So now the last thing we have to do is actually wrap the hackle so it looks nice and bushy like that. So that's the last step, and that's what we're going to do. This is really fun, but it takes a little bit of practice. So the method, or the technique I'm about to do is called palmering, like Arnold Palmer. Not named after him, but that's the way to remember it. It's called palmering. And just like the other stuff, we're going to wrap away from us. And the hardest part is getting it to lay down properly the first time. But once we get that down, I'm just going to move my tail out of the way. We're just going to wrap away from us. And they can be spaced out, but you guys can see it's starting to give me that woolly bugger look. And again, this is palmering. So once I get pretty close to the front, I don't like that wrap. There we go. I'm going to hold it up top again. I'm going to do my lazy wraps that I love to do so much. And I'm going to tighten that up a little bit here. I'm going to do a couple up front. And handy dandy scissors. I'm going to cut my material. Probably could have got one more wrap out of there. But now what I'm going to do is give it that torpedo shape that we've got. Where'd my flag go? Here we go. That torpedo shape where it kind of bends back at the front. And what that does is it makes it look a little bit more aerodynamic. But also when you are stripping in line and the fly is kind of dancing in the water, it will compress like that. And it will give it that kind of movement, which kind of makes it look like a wounded bait fish, I guess. The woolly bugger is what we call a prospecting pattern. When you're really not sure about the water or you're not sure if there's a fish there, but you want to see if you can get a reaction, it's a good pattern. Also, it catches a lot of fish. So either way, I always have a bunch in my box. But back to what I was talking about, we're going to give it that torpedo shape. So what I like to do, wet my good old fingers, and I like to push back on these hackle feathers like this and hold them in place, and then I'm going to wrap away from me. A few times. And that is going to give me that brushed back look. You guys see that? That looks pretty cool on my end. And now we just have one less thing to do, and that's going to be what I call the dreaded whip finisher, which is this insane tool. It looks crazy, you feel crazy, takes forever to get used to. I think it took me 3 months to finally figure it out. I'm not even going to try to explain it in this video, but I just want you guys to see me do it. It gives you a really nice, safe, secure knot at the end of your fly. But you basically create like a diamond shape, which is black thread, so you probably can't even see what I'm doing. And then you just kind of let it go over the head here. And then you pop that, draw it down, tidy up my thread a little bit here. Nothing too fancy. I'm gonna snip my thread, and of course the last thing you need for any fly is some good old glue. And I love this Wapsi formula. That is some of the best stuff, but it dries super fast, and you don't really need a lot. It comes with a little brush on there, thank goodness. It makes it much easier, but I'm just gonna give it a good old coat of head cement. Not the prettiest fly I've done, but again, woolly buggers don't need to be pretty, they just need to be effective. But hopefully this was a really good video. I hope you guys learned some stuff. I hope to do more videos for Greg. Let me see if I can give you a close-up of this guy without gluing it to myself. Knock on wood, right? Check out that guy. Again, the hackle, I could have done another wrap up there, but we have that great torpedo shape going on, and it's got a really great tail on there. So thanks again, guys. Hopefully that was informative, and if you would like me to do more, please say so in the comments. I'd love to do more for you guys.